y'all, what is up? What is good? Go Squad, how are y'all doing? Today, Black Ghostface is here and back at doing the extreme stories that have gone too far, that went too far, that should have gone that far. But to me, majority is like average to me. But we're going to be jumping in to the third part of extreme stories that just shouldn't go too far. I do enjoy these, and I do enjoy talking about them to see like if it's extreme or not. But either way, we diving in to number 3.
Nothing feels as good as getting even. Wait, no, scratch that.
But, yo,
what I meant to say was,
uh-huh.
Nothing feels as good as getting revenge. No, hang on, I screwed up again. What I really meant was, nothing feels as good as getting revenge that totally ruins the person that wronged you. But as satisfying as tales of one-upmanship can be, there are some stories out there that, I'd argue, go too far.
Well,
from a plan that took
to
20 years to play out, to a bully who got a literal buttload of karma, it's time for even more extreme stories of revenge that took it way too far.
Well, let us see.
Food for thwart. There is nothing more annoying than going to get that food you were saving, only to find someone else has eaten it. This is an occupational hazard of being a student in shared accommodation. As Reddit user, the man with 2 poo brains, discovered. Nice name there. A first-year university microbiology student in England, he was living with several other students, all boys, who shared one kitchen. Inevitably, Pooh Brain's food would often go missing, but no one admitted to stealing it.
Of course.
Well, one day, his entire class were in the labs experimenting with a low-risk orthopox virus. Not exactly harmless, but harmless enough that they let first-year students handle it. It was then that he noticed that one of his lab partners had fumbled their sample, and they soon developed a pretty painful blister on their lip. A light bulb went off in Pooh Brain's head, and he hastily snuck a sample of the virus away. Later that evening, he smeared the sample over a block of cheese he had bought, wrapped it up tight to prevent any cross-contamination with other food, and left it in the refrigerator. Sure enough, the next day, someone had snacked on his cheese. The day after that, 2 of Pooh Brain's housemates were sporting nasty-looking blisters all over their mouths. They were so bad they wouldn't go outside until the lesions eventually went away a few weeks later.
Wow.
After that, Pooh Brain's food never went missing again. Gee, and all it took was some light biological warfare. Bully backfire.
Okay, so is that going too far? I kind of have to say it's up there. It's above average. My man using chemicals to put the stop to eating my. And first off, it's like this. Why are you eating someone's food? I mean, maybe if you said that, hey, listen, I'm gonna eat your food, but here's $5 for that. You know what I mean? I mean, at least make it to where, okay, you ate my food, but you gave me money for it. So I can appreciate that. But you're not gonna sneak eat my food and then act like, I don't know, I wasn't there. But no, that's what you get. That is what you get. Don't get mad when stuff like that happens. And I'm not gonna say stuff like, I'm gonna put chemicals on my food and you probably start turning into a frog or something. I don't know. But hey, you should know, think before you act. You know doing that comes with a consequence. And that was if that ain't a consequence, I don't know what is.
Were you ever bullied at school? Yeah. I got shoved into a locker and had my lunch stolen once or twice. Or 50 times. Okay. That might sound bad, but it's nothing compared to what Reddit user SCP-682's friend Marco went through. Marco was a small, skinny kid.
Okay.
He was a little geeky, but was generally pretty happy. Until a much, much bigger kid we'll call Polo started to pick on him. And I'm not talking about harmless pranks. Marco started turning up to class with black eyes. His backpack was ripped, his food had been stolen, and his stuff was all but destroyed. Polo's parents were well connected to the school, so when Marco reported it, he was accused of lying and suspended. His suspension was only...
No. Now, usually I will stop at the end of it, but no. So this jock, Polo, as he called him, he's connected to the school. So basically, the parents own this school, and I work for the parents. So this kid can do whatever he wants. So whatever this kid does, and a person complain about it, I'm going to say, no, you're lying, you're suspended. So that way the teacher, professor, could keep his job. Nah, I see this is going to be a good one.
Only lifted when a video taken on a smartphone emerged, showing Polo ripping apart Marco's bag and throwing it in the trash. But despite this, Polo faced no consequences whatsoever. So, when Marco eventually returned to school, he decided he wasn't going to take this anymore.
Right.
He turned up one day with a huge bag of gummy bears, hoping to share them with his friends. As expected, Polo ripped the bag away from Marco, stealing the sweets and demolishing them, one fistful after another. Marco began to cry, which only fueled Polo to eat more of them, which is exactly what Marco wanted. He wasn't actually crying. He was faking it. Why? Well, during his suspension, Marco had learned that a certain someone had a bowel condition that made him intolerant to sugar substitutes. And those weren't normal gummy bears. They were sugar-free gummy bears.
Okay.
Marco had set a trap. Throughout the day, Polo continued to gorge himself on the stolen sweets until, all of a sudden, he bolted out of class and made a mad dash for the bathroom with a suspicious brown stain trailing down his pants.
Whoa!
No one saw Polo for a few days after that, with rumors flying around that after Polo's visit, the bathroom looked like someone had exploded in it.
Whoa!
When he did return, he looked awful. His face was bruised, he was wearing an eye patch, the other eye was bloodshot. Apparently, he strained so hard while battling against the explosive effects of the sugar-free bears, he left himself partially blind in one eye.
Whoa!
After that, he left Marco well alone. Those gummy bears may have been sugar-free, but that story was sweet as hell. Teaching a lesson. A kid being bullied by...
So, they were sugar-free. He had a... So, he destroyed the bathroom. So, wait. So, does he not know that he's... that he shouldn't be eating stuff like that? Gummy bears? Aren't they... Even though sugar-free... And knowing that I can't eat stuff like that, I would not eat stuff like that. But, this is not going too far. I'm going to say that right now. This is not going too far. Because it could have been worse. It could have been a whole lot worse. And we all, look, we all know what happens when you bully a kid in a school for too long. Especially when you go to the teacher and they do nothing about it. Like, do I need to drop some hints? Big book bag. Giant object coming out. Reload. I'm sure you understand that.
Teaching a lesson.
Teaching a lesson.
A kid being bullied by another kid is one thing, but a kid being bullied by a teacher is a whole other level of wrong.
Yeah, that's
Sadly,
that's
though,
that's
what happens to
right
Reddit user SafeAd5951 back when he was barely 6 years old. Safe had just started first grade, but his teacher, Mrs. Hagner, took an instant disliking to him.
Hagner.
Despite being a child, she doled out incredibly harsh punishments to Safe and a friend of his. She called them derogatory names, forbade the other kids from playing with them, and even forced Safe to stand in a garbage while all the other kids poured their leftover lunches on him. When he came home that day with his ruined shoes soaked in garbage juice, his mom asked what had happened.
Yeah, what happened?
He told her about Mrs. Hagner's punishments. Shocked, she rang up his friend's parents, who'd been told the same thing. It was a pattern of behavior, with Miss Hagner apparently targeting kids that weren't rich or white.
Whoa.
Disgustingly, the school was unwilling to take any action, so without wasting a moment, Safe's mom enrolled him in another school, where he suddenly began thriving. And while Safe was living up to his potential, so was his mom. Over the next 3 years, she got a degree in education. Then she got a job as a teacher, all while raising Safe and his siblings. Then she got a master's degree and became a leading educator in the district. She was beloved by the community and very well respected. About 30 years later, Safe realized the awful old school had shut down a few years after he'd left. Dredging up memories, he offhandedly asked his mom if she remembered Mrs. Hagner. And that's when his mom dropped a bombshell. She calmly said that, yes, she did remember. She'd also spent the last 25 years informing every single school administration in the state what a vile human being Mrs. Hagner was. She'd given them detailed accounts of her behavior, and so every time she'd applied for a job in any school in his mom's district, they'd turned her down flat.
What?
His mom had risen up the ranks of education purely to ruin this one woman's career in revenge for what she'd done to Safe.
No!
As far as she knew, Mrs. Hagner never saw the inside of a classroom ever again.
What?
Moral of the story? Do not mess with moms. RuneScape Revenge.
No! 20... You're telling me she spent 25 years just to get her revenge for Miss Hagner cruelly mistreating her son. You see that? That's what you get. I would not say this has gone too far. I would say this was just right. This revenge was just right. Didn't go too far. It didn't get crispy. It didn't get charred. It was just right. She spent 25 years to get her revenge, to where making sure this pods, as I call certain people, making sure you never teach again. Never. I mean, like, you think that the things you say, the things you do, you thinking that, oh, you think you can just get away with it, huh? You think that just because you work at a building, you have some type of power that I can't get you? You know, I don't have to physically get you. You know that, right? I can literally mentally get you. I can, like, I mentally destroyed you to where you can't work at a school again. She blacklisted her to where you are not allowed to teach in this area. It's like you have to go maybe to another country, another region in order to teach. But who knows? She might have got it to where lady, I got it all over the world. All right, I got it to where I mean she got this district to where this country right here, the level of teaching, oh, it's mine. So if anyone tells me that you applied for this job, no, get her out of there. She's racist. We do not hire racist people. I don't care. I don't care how good she is. She's racist. How would you feel if your kid was put in a garbage can and the other kids in the classroom are throwing their leftover meals at your child? Would you want your kid to go there? Would you not do something about that? Yeah, then I think so.
Stories of other people getting revenge on their cheating partners is a real tonic for heartbreak. Like this next story from Reddit user OrsB19, who, so YouTube doesn't strike this video down for profanity, we'll be calling Laura. Laura was an avid player of the online game RuneScape. And through playing the game, she met her long-distance boyfriend, who we'll call Douche. As they began to get older, Laura got a job, moved out, became independent, and, in short, grew up. Douche, on the other hand, didn't. He relied on Laura to send him money to pay his rent, throwing tantrums when Laura couldn't afford to support him. He refused to even look for a job, despite Laura offering to help. And then, Douche had the audacity to claim Laura just wasn't working hard enough and should get a second job so that he could just keep playing RuneScape.
You gotta go.
If I was Laura, I'd have dumped this loser on the spot. But Laura loved him and wanted to help him. She lent Douche money to fly him out to see her.
Why?
But while he was visiting, she saw a message pop up on his phone. It said, "When are you gonna leave her?" Thinking she might be missing some precious context, she waited until he was asleep and went through his phone. Sure enough, Douche had been cheating on her, messaging and flirting with another girl, promising to leave Laura, making fun of Laura behind her back, and even sending her Laura's spicy pics so they could pick apart and laugh at her. She had never felt so used or vengeful. For the rest of the trip, she pretended like she'd seen nothing and continued being as lovely and affectionate as ever. After she'd dropped him off at the airport, though, she went back home, sat at her computer, and immediately logged into RuneScape.
Okay.
But not into her account, into his.
Uh-oh.
He had left himself logged in, allowing her unprecedented access to his precious 14-year-old account. Within the hour, she destroyed and sold everything he'd earned, using all of his in-game currency to buy useless items that could be bought but not used or sold. Within minutes, his virtual legacy, consisting of more than 8 billion in-game coins, was now worthless. But she wasn't done there. She then contacted all of his in-game friends and told them of his cheating antics, then changed his username to something incredibly embarrassing and logged off. A few hours later, her phone was blowing up. Douche was hysterical, calling her every name under the sun and sending photos of himself crying. Laura calmly explained that he would never contact her again, or she'd be pressing criminal charges for sharing her spicy pictures without her consent. Apparently, he shut up quickly after that. Well, looks like digital cheating deserves digital consequences.
No. I don't. Okay. Hear me out on this. I think this one kinda would have gone too far. Kinda. Because this loser literally had in-game currency for years. Imagine years of work on a character, right? Especially those types of games to where it's like, building up type thing. So let me get this straight though. On one hand, Laura is a hopeless romantic. You should be at that age to where this individual doesn't like to work other than working on building up your character in a game called RuneScape. Number two, it's a slob. You can at least, maybe try to clean up around yourself or something. Like, room is a mess. Like a hobo just came by and just trashed the place. Number three, you know that he's a bum. You know that he doesn't want to get a job, even though you try to help him get a job, but you don't. But you say, "No, I'm good. I want you to get a second job because you are not working hard enough to support me. That sentence right there would have just walked out. That sentence right there. If someone told you that you're not working hard enough to support me, I'm going to need you to get another job. Man, who the fuck? It couldn't be me. It would have ended immediately. Would have walked out. Where you going? I'm going to get some milk. I'm going to get some milk from the store. You know what I'm saying? But nah, I would say this was like around almost an extreme to where it went too far, to where you not only got rid of his well-known like career account, but you told his friends about him, and the fact he put crocodile tears. Now, what I don't understand is, you mouth her off, cuss her like a sailor, then send a picture of you pretending to cry. Like, can you imagine? Like, it's like someone slaps you in the face and then they're gonna cry. How could you do this to me? I thought we had something. You supposed to love me. Like, you got people like that to where, like, who raised you like this? You have to blame the parents for this type of thing, to where this is like a failed experiment. You're a failed experiment right now. Really, you are a failure. You are a fucking failure, and I'm sure you noticed that.
You rang. Phone bills are the worst.
Yes.
I'm always surprised with how many minutes I've used and how much they cost. But back in the 80s, they were much worse. The cost of processing a call was much higher, which one savvy lady used to her advantage around 1987. According to a report from Hollywood at the time, a man living in the area with his live-in girlfriend was about to jet off on a business trip for a few weeks.
Okay.
He planned to break up with her, but instead of letting her down gently and acting like an adult, he cruelly told her that by the time he came back, he expected her to be packed up and gone. She was understandably upset. So upset that she decided to get her own back, not by breaking his heart, but by breaking his wallet. Well, fast forward a few weeks, and our man returns from his trip. His place is spotlessly clean, and there's no sign of his ex. His mean little plan had worked. The only thing out of place was the phone, which had been left off the hook. He heard a strange babbling noise and assumed there was a connection issue, so he hung it back on the receiver and thought nothing of it. That was until his phone bill arrived. He usually paid around $20 a month, about $50 in today's money, but the numbers on his bill stated he owed an astronomical $8,000, at a little over $21,000 today.
Whoa.
It turned out that just before his ex had left for good, she made a long-distance call to Japan's Speaking Clock, an automated service that provided the time over the phone. Being a long-distance call, it cost extra. And being automated, the caller on the other end didn't hang up.
It was a loop.
Costing 50 cents a minute, this guy's phone had been calling Japan non-stop for about 266 hours for 11 days.
11 days straight.
That's definitely one way to make your ex pay. Ain't no...
Dude. You know... Okay. That one... Oh, man, I'm telling you, man. It's like... that. I would say that's above average of going too far. But if it's about money... If it's about money or ruining someone's, like game... I might say that's going too far. So that one, I would say, well deserved in a way of going too far. Well deserved. You're gonna tell your partner, but before I come back from my vacation, from my travels, I want you packed and gone. You know, you could have did that maybe, I don't know, after you came back or something. You know? You know what I mean? You could have did that. Or maybe you could have did that before you left. You know what I mean? That way you could have, I don't know, locked the door after she left. You know? After she left, you locked the door, then you pack up and leave, and lock the door. So that way she won't be in your house. It's like basically you just gave her a no bars rule. She's going to do whatever she wants now that you're gone. And you told her, I want you packed and gone because we're done here. She left his phone on. She left his phone on for 11 days. He had to pay $8,000 phone bill. Ooh. I can tell right now if that happened to certain people, Channel 2 News would have got involved.
Grass. Back in the 1980s, the complete book of outrageous and atrocious practical jokes came up with a wonderfully harmless prank.
Okay.
Lay down a plastic sheet in a room, add an inch of topsoil, cover in grass seeds, turn up the heat, and voila! In a few days, the pranky will be faced with an indoor lawn. The plastic sheet would make it easy to remove, and there'd be no real harm done. However, one woman in the UK, who we'll call Jenny, decided to put a malicious spin on this petty prank. Back in the 1980s, Jenny had a boyfriend called Carl.
Oh, brother.
Carl was an airline pilot who would sometimes spend several weeks away from his home on long-haul flights. Or at least, that's what he told Jenny. Because one day, Jenny dropped by Carl's house when he was supposedly on one of these flights and saw Carl through the window making out with a stewardess. Distraught and humiliated, Jenny silently went home. But as she did, she began to think of ways to get back at him. For the next few weeks, she pretended like nothing was wrong, meeting up with Carl, being affectionate, and acting like a loving girlfriend. However, when he next told her he'd be away for a few weeks on business, she began her revenge plan. She told him she'd need to drop by his apartment a few times to collect some stuff, though she wasn't sure when. Unable to pin her movements down, if Carl wanted to meet up with his mistress, he wouldn't be able to use his apartment in case Jenny walked in on them. So the place would be fully vacated. Exactly what Jenny needed. And when he left that evening, Jenny got to work. Using a watering can, she soaked all of the soft furnishings in his apartment. His couch, his bed, his carpet, even his toilet paper. She then turned his heating on so it was nice and warm, opened all the curtains so there was plenty of sunlight, and spread packet after packet of cress seeds all over the place. She dropped by a few days later, and to her delight, most of the seeds were germinating. By the time Carl got back from wherever he'd really been, he was confronted by thousands of cress plants that had their roots woven into his furnishings, ruining everything they touched. After that, Jenny never saw him again.
Aww.
Talk about leaving someone crestfallen.
What? Okay. But that one I would say maybe if it was extreme, there could have been she could have put a python in there. You know what I'm saying? Or wait, even better. Let's say even better, a huntsman spider. Think about that. Think about that. Do you know how scary that would be? Do you know how far you have to go to where not only I made your house, your vacant place, to look like a miniature forest, I put some pets in there for you just to show you, National Geographic, you know what I'm saying? A huntsman spider in the house, I promise you that would be going too far. That would be extreme. This was like, I would say maybe mid-extreme, mid and everything. But I know, like I said, I know for a fact, if it involved any like casualty, fatality, then to me, okay, they're probably extreme. But these are like average, above average, maybe mid-extreme, possibly, rarely, but this was, I would say, above average.
Karma generates interest. Were you an awkward kid growing up? I mean, who wasn't? Well, Reddit user Seneca13 was a little more awkward than most. He didn't have any friends and was bullied by a classmate called Derek. One day, Derek started acting nice to him.
A Batman?
Coincidentally, it was the same day Seneca had brought his brand new action figure to school.
Got a Batman
Derek
action
spent
figure.
the whole day buttering Seneca up, being nice to him, and making poor, naive Seneca believe that he was his friend. Then he asked Seneca if he could borrow the new toy, and Seneca happily agreed. The next day, though, Derek ignored him, and when he asked for his toy back, Derek said, "You never gave it to me, loser. You must have imagined it." Then he started spreading vicious lies about Seneca to get him to buzz off, ostracizing him from the rest of the school. What a jerk. The event stuck with Seneca as he grew up, but eventually he found his feet, gained some good friends, and became a successful plumber and electrician.
Okay.
Some 20 years after the incident, one morning at 2 a.m., he received an emergency call out to a flooded house.
Okay.
Lo and behold, it was Derek's house. Seneca kept calm, said hello, and introduced himself. He acted as if the stuff in school had never happened, reassured Derek that he was in good hands, and gave him an idea of what this would cost to fix. A few $100s tops. Derek seemed happy, but it was Seneca who was delighted.
Yeah,
because as he was assessing the damage, he noticed a lot of work on the property that didn't comply with city regulations. It had clearly led to the leak, which must have been going on for weeks, and would ring up a huge water bill if a registered plumber didn't sign off as an accident. He began photographing and documenting everything before calling a friend of his at city council to get down there ASAP and look at the mess this bozo had built.
Right, this loser.
His friend arrived, and after looking around, Derek was slapped with an order to tear down the majority of his house, as it contained unsanctioned additions, extensions, and plumbing. Derek was furious, but there was nothing he could do. Seneca and his friend left, but not before Seneca also left Derek an invoice for the call-out, just to rub salt in the wound. A few weeks later, Derek calls Seneca to ask to talk face-to-face. They meet up, and Derek suspiciously puts his phone face down on the table. Seneca realized Derek might be trying to record their conversation, so he kept his calm. That's when Derek showed him the water bill. It was close to $80,000. On top of all the rebuilding he needed to do, this would bankrupt him. He begged Seneca to sign the certificate confirming it was an accident, but Seneca declined. Angry, he began to berate Seneca, admitting that he knew how he treated him when they were kids was wrong and that he was sorry. But Seneca only quoted him a few $100 for the repairs. Why would he lie about that? Seneca replied, "I said no such thing, loser. You must have imagined that." And then he left. Wow.
My
revenge that iconic, they should make a Seneca action figure.
Wow, he got him back good for that.
He
got him back good for that one. That was a well-deserved one. Like, he played it off. He played it all cool to where instead of me being, a hothead, he took it well. He got comfortable with it. Now if you are meeting if you ever meet someone and that person, usually if you piss someone off, they start screaming, start barking back, let you know that, hey, I provoked this person, I won this. But if you try to provoke someone and they don't sound angry, you might as well keep walking, because you already know you don't know what this person's gonna do to you. And if this person's not mad at you, if they're not showing any signs of getting pissed off, you see Derek, he was mad, he was furious. A few $100s to thousands of dollars? Oh man. And he said the exact same thing he said too. I said no such thing, loser, and walked off. Yo, he did that. He took his revenge professionally, and I accept that.
These issues.
Daddy's issues.
There are a lot of bad dads out there. They don't care. They don't make effort. Or worse, they're cruel.
They go to the store, get that milk, but they come back 30 years later.
Lila Annis had to call Dad. When Lila was born, her father abandoned her and her mother. He drained her mother's bank accounts, but despite this, her mom never said a bad word against him. He never paid child support, barely sent birthday cards, and only visited her once or twice a year.
Wow.
When her mom remarried, though, he straight up claimed Lila was no longer his responsibility. She was her new stepdad's problem now, and cut off all communication with her. He didn't attend her graduation, her wedding, or even respond to invitations to meet her son. In all that time, Lila had received just one email from him, where all he did was lambaste her mother for her looks, criticizing everything about her.
Wow.
When Lila defended her mother, he called Lila a waste and stopped responding. That was the moment Lila truly realized what a scumbag he was. She went on with her life when one day, out of the blue, she got an email from him. Was it to reconnect, to apologize, to meet her new family?
I doubt that.
No. He needed something.
A kidney.
A kidney.
A kidney.
It turned out he was diabetic, and his kidneys were failing.
Oh.
He was on the donor list, but finding a match could take years.
No.
He didn't have.
No.
So he figured a blood relative of his might be a match and give him one.
Another one of these?
Which was the only reason he contacted Lila.
No.
Enraged at his audacity, Lila read and reread the email and then began plotting. She wrote back agreeing to meet up and do the test to see if she was a match for him. They went to the hospital together and confirmed that she was indeed a match. Her birth father was overjoyed. Over several weeks, Lila then began all the intensive therapy and prep work needed for a donation, taking every step very seriously. Then, on the day of the surgery, she turned up to the hospital to meet her father. But just before they went in, she told him she wasn't going through with it.
Yep.
Confused, her birth father began breaking down, begging to know why. What was wrong? Why couldn't he have her kidney?
Why?
With a grin a mile wide, she told him he was not her father, and using his own words, that he was a waste. With that, she walked off and never saw him again.
Bravo.
Damn,
Bravo.
Lila literally wasted that cockroach.
Wow. That was probably, man, if I had to say the one that was extreme. Okay, most of these was like average, above average, and maybe almost extreme. But if I had to say the one that extreme, no, would have to be that one. The daddy issues. If I had to say, it's like the last one, the one I heard last time. I don't know if I think it's like part 1 and part 2. It has been a while though, but the exact same story. But this time it's the dad. It wasn't just the mother and the dad. It was just the dad though. So you left the moment you became a father. Then it got to where you just disown yourself from your daughter. Literally say I'm not your father, you're a complete waste. But look at what karma did. Karma came back and gave you diabetes and a kidney failure. And you have the audacity. You got people like that. Like, you legit got people like that to where you gonna treat someone like dog doo-doo and you expect like royal treatment? And then you gonna look confused, wondering, what did I do? What did I say? I didn't do anything wrong. Are you kidding me? Like, what kind of parents would make something like that to where you can say and do whatever you want thinking it's okay, but when someone retaliates from that action with hostility, mentally, physically, or verbally, then you get confused. You be shocked. You You start to get sad, wondering, what did I do? What did I say? I mean, did you not see this man was ecstatic knowing that I have a kidney failure. Let me go call my daughter real quick. Hey, sweetie, I'm gonna need you to come to the hospital real quick because I'm diabetic and my kidney is failing. Listen, I'm gonna need your kidney real quick. Even though I don't love you at all, I'm gonna need your kidney. Thanks. You see? Do you see that right there? It's like, what? You confused? Like, you what? So when you have short-term memory loss, you tell me you forgot? You forgot what you just said? Even though it doesn't matter if it was like 20 years ago. You know that, oh, that's right, because I told you that you wasn't my daughter and you was a waste. She literally threw the words right back at him. Yeah. Yeah. So stuff like that, yeah. I would say extreme. You're going to kick your daughter to the curb. But as soon as, oh, I'm about to die. Kidney failure? Oh, well, let me call the one I kicked to the curb back. And, hey, I'm going to need your kidney real quick. Oh, perfect match? Yes! I can live again and I can never see you again. In more ways than one. No, you're not going to do it? Why? I'm your father. You're supposed to love me. Stupid. But that is it for this video. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Like you got people like that. You be so confused at you don't remember what you just said. You disowned me and you called me a waste. But you need my kidney in order for you to live, and don't even care what happens to me because as long as you live, right? Yeah. But if y'all want to stay tuned, you can stop the buttons down below to see the next video. Yeah. Hope you have a good day, y'all. Stay safe, and I will catch y'all tomorrow.